When I wrote Carry On Wayward Son, I guess it's a little bit autobiographical. I saw myself as, I'm not there yet. Something I just need to keep searching, and eventually, you know, the last line of the song is, surely heaven waits for you. I didn't know how to get there, how to find it, but I knew that I just had to keep, you know, being the pilgrim.
You will always remember, carry on, nothing equals the splendor, my life's over empty, surely heaven waits for you, carry on that wayward son, there'll be peace within you undone.
When I was 9 years old, both of my grandmothers and our family's best friend all died the same week. So at the age of 9, and of course kids think they're eternal, you know, dying is something that happens to people on TV, and suddenly I was confronted with grieving and weeping and death of some people that I loved. And I really think that instilled in me, way in the back of my mind, a drive to find out what it's all about. I want to know what happened to my grandmothers. I want to know what's going to happen to me. What does my life mean? So when I was in high school, I had a very small peer group, because when everybody was chasing girls and playing football and stuff, we were reading Nietzsche and Kant and sitting around talking about the great philosophers and stuff. Really just because I was interested in eternity. So with that in mind, I kind of set a goal in my life, and I had these two parallel goals. One was to make it big as a rock star, and the other was find out what life's all, and the meaning of life, you know. Those two are a little bit diametrically opposed. So the dream of being a rock star slowly, very slowly, began to come true. And it kind of took precedence, and I got all caught up in that experience. And for a young guy to get to a point where everything that this world tells you you go after, money, fame, fortune, success, girls, it was all handed to us on a platter. And that was an incredibly destructive thing. It was not at all, I mean, a huge bubble popped. And it created a crisis where my other goal suddenly came to the forefront. And that was reflected in my music. Some of the guys in the band tried to fill that void with drugs or you know, partying, having fun, whatever. And but me, it drove me deeper into my quest. I carried around a suitcase that the roadies affectionately called the library. It was full of books. It must have weighed 150 pounds. Every kind of religious book you could imagine. I went through all the major religions of the world, all the minor ones. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel. I was into religions nobody ever heard of. The last one I was into was one called Urantia, based on a book called the Urantia book. I never met another Urantian. As far as I knew, I was the only one. I really would like to have met another one, and then there would have been two of us, you know. And I actually got kind of evangelical about that. And the interesting irony is that the central figure in the Urantia book was Jesus. So I'd gone completely full circle. I came back around. But I got to tell you, I did not want to become a Christian. What I saw of Christians and Christianity was well, mostly TV preachers. I had a very skeptical view of Christianity. And we happened to meet up with another band that was, they were our opening act, called Louisiana's LaRue. And their lead guitar player had long blonde hair, I had long blonde hair. He was the lead player, I was the lead player. I was the main songwriter, he was the main songwriter. We hit it off right away. Well, then I found out he was deeply into spiritual things. And much to my disappointment, I found out that he was a Christian. So I thought, all right, I'm going to talk to this guy, and I'm going to make Urantian number 2 out of this guy. You know, so we started having these kind of theological debates, And I became so obsessed with that because he sat down with his Bible and we would go back and forth. I had my Urantia book open. I actually gave up my seat on our private plane we had chartered to ride on their bus. They had made a partition in their bus. They had actually put up a plywood partition in the back of the bus that was the Christian section. They put him back there, and in the front there was wild partying going on, you know. So I'm sitting in the back of this bus, and he's reading to me stuff out of the Bible. And there was this curious phenomenon. I'm a pretty good debater, pretty good arguer. I usually win arguments. And so I'm debating with him, but when he read me something out of the Bible, it was like he was sticking a dagger in my heart. And it began to eat away at me, and way down somewhere I knew this was truth. And I tell people the experience was like if you're in a barrel and you're going down the Niagara River, and you're out in the middle of the river and the falls is coming up, and you can hear the roar, you can feel the spray, and you know you're going over it, but you don't want to, but you can't fight the current. Well, that's what it felt like. I was coming toward this huge event that I really didn't want to happen. So actually we split up. He gave me a Bible and a little book by Hal Lindsey called The Liberation of Planet Earth. And I stuck them in my suitcase full of books, and I really didn't want to cope with it. But maybe a couple of weeks went by, and I finally thought, you know, something's got to happen here. Something's got to give. And one night at 3 o'clock in the morning after a concert in Indianapolis, Indiana, I was in a hotel room by myself, and I got this little Hal Lindsey book out, and it's basically a pretty clever little gospel tract, you know, dressed up as a book on a different subject. And I was kind of skimming through it, and you know, he had these little diagrams of what Jesus, what he did on the cross actually meant, who he actually was. And it got to the part where, you know, Hal Lindsey said something like, if he was actually raised from the dead, what does that mean? That means he's alive right now as you're reading this. And that hit me like a train. And I guess what happened, I kind of surrendered. You know, I'd been searching for God so long, I was weary. Didn't want to be a Christian, but I said, I got on my knees and I surrendered, and I said, if this is true, then I don't care if I don't like it. I want the truth. And at that moment, I became somebody different. Totally changed me, fulfilled. I knew everything I'd ever been looking for had been found. And that was 20-some years ago, and still sitting here talking about it.